Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster, and I am with my buddy Somnath Sikdar, one of the coolest dudes on the planet, and one of the baddest asses on the planet. Right?
Do you think anybody wants a roundhouse kick to the face while I'm wearing these bad boys? Forget about it.
I mean, let's be real. You are a 6th degree black belt, right?
That is correct.
Bow to your sensei. Bow to your sensei!
That is correct.
And there's only a few of you guys, right, on the planet?
Not too many. Not too many.
Not too many.
Yeah.
And you own Dragon Gym up in
That is correct.
Up in Chester County, Pennsylvania.
For now.
As you expand. And you are good buddies. We are both good friends, and we met through our good mutual friend, Dave Freeze.
That's right.
I'm just setting this up for everybody.
Dave, I'm sure, has been a recurring guest on your podcast.
He's been on it twice.
That makes it recurring.
That is true. That is one. Yes. And you and I both are in the business black ops secret Dave Freeze group. I don't even know really what to call it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a mastermind, but it isn't like your typical, you pay a bajillion bucks and sit around and show off kind of group. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, you pay $1 billion, but you're in a collection of very unique and fun people. And I mean, it's been years and years and years now.
Yeah.
And, we look forward to seeing each other every October out in the desert.
We do.
Hang out for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And we got people coming from all over the planet really to come to that thing.
Well, it really, makes some perspective. I think it's something we took for granted. Like, you guys are in DC area and I'm in the Philly area, but we only see each other on the West Coast, either at like trafficking conversion or at business black ops. And now that you can't, like right now, I can't just hop in a car and drive 2 hours and come visit you, because that was our original plan, was for me to come down there and do this podcast at your office. And it's like all those things we take for granted. Oh, well, we'll get to it. And now we can't get to it.
Right, because there's a pandemic.
Yeah.
And but we're still hanging out, and we've still had a lot of conversations. We've talked more recently than we have in a long time. We're still doing this podcast for people because I think it's important that the people that don't know you need to know you, because you are one of the coolest people on the planet, my very good friend, and you've done so much. And let's talk about it, because I want to go back, because you got a good story. So tell me about how you got and when you got into martial arts.
So it's going back a while. I started when I was 6 years old in this thing. A recent viewer of The Karate Kid, Part 2. And
we said we weren't going to bring that up.
Make honey, young bee need young flower, not old prune.
But okay, it inspired you, and you were like, Pop, I want that. And I still remember driving around from school to school. And in those days, it was quite a drive. There weren't, all these like little strip mall karate places. And, we finally settled on a place. And that place was the Dragon Gym, with my instructor at the time, Grandmaster Che Go. And the rest is history, so to speak. Spent 20 years with him,
and then eventually took over the school, took over the business. And then since doing that, we've, I would like to think, transformed it
You
into
have,
the
but hold on.
21st
You
century.
went through a whole bunch of stuff because you trained, then you went to school,
Mhm.
became an engineer, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, I would say probably mid high school, I think I knew what I wanted to do was, to be a professional martial arts person, instructor, have a gym or more. But in another sense, I knew that I should play it safe, utilize my strengths. And I went to college, worked as an engineer for 7-ish years, and did well at that too. Was moving up the management chain
What
and
kind of
corporate.
engineer?
I was electrical engineer.
How many different kinds of engineers are there, Som?
Oh, there's a lot now, but there's only one real kind of engineer. That's electrical. So
okay, of course.
We don't worry about the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, look, we've all been in quarantine for a while. There's going to be some sarcasm.
For sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I have degrees in electrical engineering, systems engineering, economics, all that fancy stuff. Worked in corporate America, sort of climbed the corporate ladder, as it will. But, there was something very soul draining about two things. One is just the nature of corporate America, where you got to wear your slacks every day and not clock in and clock out, but you're working on somebody else's schedule. And that idea of never really being in control of your own destiny. When you work for, really it was a multi-billion-dollar multinational company. You can work your way up. You could be the CEO of that company, but you still aren't really in control of your own destiny. You've got a board of directors, you've got shareholders that you have to report to. So the draw of small business and entrepreneurship was very strong all along. And I was presented with an opportunity to jump ship from corporate and jumped in with both feet.
So was it brought to you, or did you go to your master and say, I want to buy the gym, or did he say, I'm thinking about selling, do you want to buy it?
Well, he was thinking about selling, but not to us. When he was thinking about selling, it was probably 23, 24. Pretty green out of college, just started his corporate career. And I wasn't necessarily looking at buying, but since he was looking at selling to a third party, then I said, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should jump in and do this. So we went through a few years of back and forth to come to an agreement on what that would look like. And then in the engineering world, my company said, hey, we want to get out of the engineering business. Most of my team was sold to Hewlett Packard, and then from Hewlett Packard sold to Intel. So I would have had to move out west, and that would have been exciting. But again, it was just a matter of, all right, I'm going to be under the whim of someone else. If I had gone to HP when they made the offer, now I'd be working for Intel. From Intel would, it's
right.
I've always had challenges with authority, unless it's my own. So definitely seemed like it was time to move out and move on.
And so you with your buddy Lonnie, you went and bought it from.
Mm-hmm.
Said, okay.
Yeah. So
was he like, no way, you're nuts, or okay, like it was a smooth transition?
Yeah. So Lonnie and I grew up together. Lonnie Beck is my business partner. You've met him a couple times.
Yeah.
And we grew up together doing this thing, and when we first heard through the grapevine that our instructor was going to sell, both of us remember that day. Like, we sat down and we're like, all right, we're going to do this. This is going to be our thing. And everybody looked at us like, all right, you guys are just little kids.
Right.
There's no
Yeah, you're
way.
little kids.
You know,
There's no way you
our
can.
parents did, our friends did.
How old were you guys?
When we made that decision, 23.
Wow.
You know, it took some time to, you know, get organized and put the money together. And, you know, when you're in your 20s, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, you never know what you don't know, but
Sure.
there's an especially huge amount of things that you don't know at that point. But yeah, so we went to him and said, hey, let's do this. And he flat out said no. He was like, no, this is ridiculous.
Not
Leave.
selling to you.
Go.
Right.
So, you know, we had to work on some things and raise some money and do all that stuff. But
How long did it take?
it really took 3 years to all said and done. One, to prove ourselves and get him to come around and say, you know, this is a thing that he built from scratch, you know, coming from another country and all of that. So it was not easy for him to let it go. Although we were his students, we were unproven in business. And, you know, so we had to sort of prove that we could steer this thing and run it and manage it. So that took about 1.5 years. And then it took about another year to just come to terms that we could agree with.
Was there any time that you were like, what have I done? This was a big mistake in those early days.
Yes, definitely.
You were scared.
Yeah.
I mean, you were, not that you were scared, but you were like, what?
No, I think scared is a good word, because, you know, you invest a bunch of money, you don't really have a good plan B safety net. You know, so early on, there was definitely those moments. Like, I went from having a pretty good income for someone in their mid-20s to zero.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had I had 2 houses at that point. You know, I had bills to pay. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. So I did have a higher level of risk tolerance in that sense. But yeah, you know, the bills are coming in. You see the number in the bank account is going in the wrong direction and getting closer to zero every day. And, you know, you wonder about partnerships. You wonder about decisions. You wonder about, you know, should I have done this? You wonder about who you're going to disappoint in the process, letting people down. You're, you know, on both sides of things. And I think that's, to me, is probably still the greatest source of fear and anxiety. Is it's actually not the money. It's not the risk. It's the who are you gonna let down? Right. And it's the
disappoint. Right. Yeah.
And there's two sides, right? There's your pluses, your mentors, you know, people like you and Dave, who have like these incredibly high expectations. And then you're like, oh man, I don't want to talk to Tom because he's going to be disappointed. Or Dave, you know what I mean? And I'm sure there's people like that for you too. But then the other side is like, well, you have all of these people depending on you. I have my family, but it's not just my family. It's Lonnie's family and all my employees' families.
That's right.
They're all depending on me. All these students. I mean, we hear these heartbreaking stories where these guys have martial arts schools and they're knuckleheads, and the schools go out of business, and the students come to us and their parents come to us and they say, hey, you know, my son has been training with master so-and-so for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. All that time and work and money invested is now gone in their mind, because this person they had looked up to so much had failed, and now there's nowhere for them to go. And now they're supposed to go to another school. They're going to come to my school. And, you know, it's different. I would argue better.
School. It's a different way.
It's different. It's a different way of doing things, and they have to start over in some way. They have to build, not only just learn new techniques, but they have to build new relationships. And I think that for me is, you know, that wasn't just starting. That's every day we go through that. You know, when we transitioned from, you know, one way of teaching to another, when we hired our first employees, when we started, you know, expanding and opening more locations, you go through that roller coaster every time.
Yeah, that is the plight of an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast, is to talk about that, because we all go through that. And it's funny because that's exactly how I feel about it. It's not about the money. It's never been about the money. Really, strangely, I think it should be sometimes, but it's not. It's really about exactly what you said.
Yeah.
It's about the people, like, of course, your family that are depending on you. And so in a sense, money is important there. You got to pay the mortgage and put food on the table and all that, and security. And you never want them to worry. And so I know that we shield them from that and everything. You know, we walk around and like everything's wonderful, and they don't need to worry about that stuff. And that's how we all act. And maybe we might be going nuts inside internally about whatever's going on. And of course, you have your students, your clients, your customers, and their parents. And I have my clients that, you know, we got to keep things up and running and moving forward. And there's a lot, and you're right, and their families and everything that they're depending on. And of course, your employees. How many employees do you have?
Well, right now it's a little different, but typically, we're running with about 14 employees and contractors for training. Right. Yeah.
And you have now, you know, right now, we have the coronavirus pandemic going on, and, you know, we're weeks into it. We're probably, I mean, who knows? We're all stuck at home, and you know, for you, it's been very difficult. I mean, like, you were shut down, and but you've made some adjustments, right?
Yeah, we definitely had to you know, pivot and evade and dodge, and now we're throwing some counter punches here.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you're doing some Zoom trainings and some online trainings with the kids, and right?
Yeah, across the board. So you know, in I guess mid-March, we got the order from the Pennsylvania governor that all quote unquote non-essential businesses have to shut down. And the coronavirus thing really started early March. So even before we got the order, we were starting to get pushback from the community that, hey, you guys shouldn't be open. What are you doing? You know, you're risking everybody. And, you know, we didn't know what the real risk level was, but we, even early on, we took that as an opportunity to say, hey, you know, people are worried about communicable disease. In a gym setting, we're always worried about communicable disease because you're in close quarters, you're always touching. So it became an opportunity for us to say, hey, look, this is, you know, the Dragon Gym is one of the best gyms in the area, in the country, because, you know, when you come in here, it's clean. And maybe that's something that you take for granted, but these are all the things that go into keeping it clean and keeping this place sanitized all the time, not just in reaction. So that we were able to turn into a positive, you know, right away. But the, you know, governor said, hey, you have to close. And, you know, I have friends around the country that sort of went against those orders. Even though the orders came, you have to close, they said, no, we're not going to do it. So that's not where we're at. We're not trying to pick a fight here. So we closed, and we adjusted our delivery method as much as we could, using things like Zoom and you know, different digital platforms to start providing content and service to our students. So we are now marketing nationally.
Yeah, good.
instead of just locally, because we're no longer constrained by the geography of, you know, you need to be within a 5 to 10 minute drive of your local martial arts studio. Of course, we would much rather have people coming to the gym physically and all of that. But so we're doing virtual live streaming classes. We've built out an online platform for recorded classes and training modules. And we have, you know, our email communication is through the roof. Facebook communication is through the roof. And then all the guys that work for me are able to, the primary guys, continue working and providing value by doing private lessons through things like Zoom as well. So we're doing our best to keep as many people as we can employed too.
And here's the new website coming out next
Nice.
Thursday, I think is when it's launching, right? That's the big date.
The 30th,
Yeah.
whatever day that is. I've sort of lost
Thursday.
track of days. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know it's every day's Groundhog Day, but this is one of my favorite websites visually. And you have just done, you're one of our power users, DSS power users, and you're in it all the time working on it. I mean, it's pretty impressive. There's the kick.
Yes.
There he is. And yeah. So you're going to have this thing updated with how to get the, I know it's coming out and all that stuff. And you're going to be able to offer everything online through here and people can sign up and all that.
Yeah. Gretchen messaged me the other day before launch. She's going to add a couple things for us, and then we'll be good to go. It is a very robust site. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, so I mean, we've had the site for a couple years now. I think we switched over in 2017, mid 17, I think. I don't know, the time flies, but you know, just for some perspective, we were using WordPress before, which was okay.
What is that? WordPress.
Oh, you've never heard of it?
Not familiar. I'm not familiar with that.
It's this little website company, but I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. And and then in our industry, there are several now providers of like martial arts specific websites, and we had used them in the past. And you know, I've always been pretty interested in the marketing and especially the digital marketing. So I was always able to drive a good amount of traffic to the site, regardless of whose it was. When we switched over to Foster, our lead flow, or like our opt-in, I shouldn't even say lead flow, opt-in tripled in the first month. So you can't say that's a function of traffic alone.
A lot of that was you. I mean, that was you using it. I mean, I like to use the analogy of the gym of, you know, it's a great facility. You have a great facility, but people got to come there and actually do it to make it work. And that's.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, to, you know, to your point of being a quote unquote power user, like I enjoy getting in there and writing content and doing the marketing, and I don't know, it's like I have an engineering background or something.
Right.
But you have to work with the tools you're given too. You know, that's like, I don't want that to be forgotten either. Yeah, of course you have to go in and use the tools, but you know, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But if you have a hammer, you have a screwdriver, you have a saw, you have you know, the latest lithium power tool, it's going to make a difference.
DSS is a superior tool, and
Yes.
We continue to make it better and better and better. And it's just, you know, as you know, most of our clients happen to be lawyers, but you are not a lawyer. You are a owner of a martial art, well, 3 martial arts gyms.
Yep.
And you an entrepreneur, and you have used DSS just like, and used it very well. I mean, you've just, like you said, you've exploded your growth with your marketing, but you're also a keen marketing guy, and you've taken a lot of what you learned from different areas, a lot of what we learned and from Dave and Business Black Ops, and implemented on the website, and you're using all of the tools available to you. And that's another thing that's great about this pivot is, yeah, okay, this sucks, and nobody was really planning on it.
No.
And for an operate, like for us, we didn't really miss a beat. We are a virtual company pretty much anyway. So the office that you've been to, the headquarters, we call it FWM headquarters, really about only half of the people, if that, are coming to the office. And even still, they're not there 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. It's more of a place that, and we have the video studio there.
Yeah.
We have,
and that's in non-pandemic times. Now everybody's remote.
Yeah, everybody's remote now, and we didn't miss a beat. I mean, like, everybody misses each other for sure.
Yeah.
But we have our same meetings every morning. It's like, the Brady Bunch, a bunch. Like, so it's like, everybody gets every morning 09:30. We have our morning huddle, and we have our meetings just like we do over Zoom, and it's been good.
Do you guys feel like you're able to sort of maintain culture, or is it too soon to tell?
I think we have, actually. I think that culture is somewhat improved. It's funny because I wasn't there, or I did not attend, but they had a Zoom happy hour.
Oh, that's cool. That's fun.
Last Friday. Yeah. And I had something else to do, but, basically crack open a beer and like, let's hang out. And that's what they did. And
nice.
Talk about a lot of different things. But yeah, I've been doing more podcasts than ever, as I talked to you about. I've been a little slow this week, but we've been pumping them out more than ever, and meeting with clients as much as possible. And really, it's to keep them inspired during this time, because you're a different kind of person. I mean, you're very disciplined, and you're self-motivating and all of that stuff, and you're a fighter. And I'm not saying that our clients are not that as well, but they're used to, most of them are lawyers and doctors, and they're like, this is the office that I must go to. And that is part of my tools of the trade, if you will. Certainly, like like the gym is one of the things that you have. And so it's been interesting. I shouldn't even say many, not very many actually, have just kind of like given up. None of them have. None of our clients have, although I've heard of other firms that have just kind of bellied up. But even our biggest clients that had 150 employees across multiple states, they did have to go through a period of laying off, only because they could not survive this, because their business is completely related on accidents, and there's nobody on the road. So there's just no way to keep that. But these guys will come back hard. I've already talked to most of them, and they're planning to come back. because there is life after this. Obviously, it'll be different. There'll be
Yeah.
a job, but and I think that a lot of for lawyers, it's different. I mean, like, and it's funny. The reason why I asked you the question about what kind of engineer are you, because there's so many kinds of engineers.
So many.
And, yeah, and you're like, well, there's only one, and there's a lot of different kinds of lawyers. There's a lot of different kind of doctors. But when you introduce yourself, not now, but back then, you're like, I'm an engineer. Maybe you would say I'm an electrical engineer, but
Right.
you're explaining that you do multiple things in the engineering world, and that's what you're known for. Like, regular people don't break it down and say, oh, well, Som's an electrical engineer.
That's right. Yeah.
Aerospace engineer, so I can't talk to them about that. If they have an engineering question, they would ask you. And the same is true of lawyers. It doesn't really matter what kind of area of law that you practice. If people hired you as a lawyer, they don't really want to go out and find another lawyer. And
Right.
so, right? I mean, like, if you've worked with a lawyer before, you're going to go to that person no matter what it is, and at least say, look, I got this. Maybe you talk to him about a business thing. Maybe, you needed to talk to him about something else, restructuring or whatever, or something else. Maybe one of your staff is in trouble somehow, and you're like, well, you got to talk to my lawyer. And then maybe they don't even do that. But point is that just like any doctor, you're going to go to the one that you have a relationship with. And like for you, even still, like any kind of training, and I've talked to you a lot about this because I'm not in it like you are. I don't know the difference, between taekwondo and karate and jujitsu and all of that. And there's lots of different kinds of martial arts.
Right.
But I don't, and I know that
well, yeah, we experience that all the time. To us, the difference between taekwondo and karate is night and day.
Yes.
But if I showed you a karate guy doing a form and a taekwondo guy doing a form, you might be like, oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah. But right, they're different. And we're not going to get into it. They need to call you and ask you about that. What is
That's it. I can help you decide what's the best martial art for you. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's,
and the answer isn't the same for everyone.
Right. Well, and I think that's really, that's kind of the message, is that you can't, like, even if you're a DUI lawyer and there's no DUIs going on because people aren't driving, which is funny. Well, not funny. It's good.
Well, here's a example, right? For years, for decades, since the internet has existed, people have said you cannot teach martial arts over the internet. Mm-hmm. It cannot be done, right? I have 65 kids testing for a belt on the internet on Monday.
That's so great.
Right? So that's, 65 kids, which means more than that are keeping their memberships active to, keep involved with the Dragon Gym. If we had just said, well, you can't teach martial arts over the internet, we're closing, all those kids would have been left hanging.
Right.
So it can be done.
It can be done. And like when I'm using my personal trainer, I started a personal training program with a guy I've known since high school. He's been a personal trainer. His name's Sean Cutter. We're actually working on his website. It'll be cutterbodies.com. And he does personal training, and he's been doing it his whole life. And he got hit by this because he's the guy that comes to your gym or comes to your house and does this, one-on-one. And I had 2 sessions with him, and then this hit. And of course, just like, we're like, whoa, all right, no touchy, no feely. And we kind of like,
what kind of personal training are you doing?
Right. Well, he's very much like, you better
No,
be
I'm
in the
just
right position. It's actually, I have videoed everything, and there's some funny shit in these videos coming out. So
nice.
you'll be entertained. Anyway, so I called him up. I'm like, Sean, why can't we do this over Zoom? I mean, why not? I mean, like,
Yeah.
I need the discipline. I need the accountability. And so now every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 0800, it is, that's Zoom. I got my iPad set up. It spans the room.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. And he tells me, and it's 45 minutes to an hour, circuit training, weight training. I mean, it's like a indoor pool in here when he's done with me. And it's also the nutrition stuff too.
Nice.
I keep a food journal that I have to send to him. And anyway, not
Does
to go on.
Does he let you eat during the day?
He makes me eat a lot more than I ate before. He makes me eat a lot more, and that's been interesting.
Yeah.
And it's very scientific. I've never done that before. I've never kept track of my,
macros and calories and
carbs and protein and fat, and like it's been a whole new world of like, oh my God, I've been eating this crap, like has all this, you think it's good and it's not good. And anyway,
what's the biggest thing that you cut out that you don't miss, even though you thought you would?
Sodas, but not that I was a big soda drinker. Junky food. Well, I kind of missed the chips and that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the snacking in the afternoon, like when it comes to like this time of the day, staying away from that stuff. And, you got the kids around and,
Oh yeah.
Charlotte is not on any kind of diet. So, I mean, they're doing their thing, but fortunately I'm the one that goes to the grocery store. So, and I'm the one that cooks. I mean, I can still eat, food on my Big Green Egg. So I'll make my brisket. That's okay. That's got loaded up with protein. And,
nice.
So I would just say it's probably cutting out that, the sodas, the beer, which I was cutting out anyway. But that's probably the hardest part is the snacky stuff.
Yeah.
Ice cream, like I love ice cream, but that is just the killer. And so I'll tell you something funny. When I first started doing this, and I wasn't really keeping a food log. It was like when we were first starting, and maybe it was the second online time. And he was like, "What did you eat yesterday?" And I was like, or maybe I wrote it down. I can't remember, but
yeah,
or he goes, "What did you have for lunch?" And I was like, "I had 2 corn dogs." He goes, "Corn dog?
What is that, Private Pile?
Sir, jelly donuts, sir!
A jelly donut?
Sir, yes, sir!
Corn dogs? I haven't heard of corn dogs since I was a kid." And like he dropped a bunch of F-bombs and he's like, "I hope you put mustard on it," and stuff like that. Well, ever since then, he called. Good morning, corn dog. You sent me a text today. How's it going, corn dog? So that's a little nickname now that I don't think I'm going to live down, and I'm
you'll never lose it.
Probably going to regret telling you that as
yeah,
well.
You are
on a podcast going everywhere.
Here's the issue is like, if you tell me, it's probably not that big of a deal, but I'm going to tell Freeze.
Yeah.
And then it's going to get bad.
And then like, this is going out everywhere, but hey, It is what it is. And I'll own it, and it's funny because like, I sent him a picture because on the corn dog, it's Foster Farms corn dogs. And it says 7 grams of protein on there. So I took a picture. I was like, "There's protein in this stuff." Anyway, it's just fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's been great. And so that's a pivot. You're doing that pivot. I told you, when we were prepping for doing this podcast, and I want to get on that program. you and I talked about doing this years ago. You know, when I came up and I trained and I spent 3 days up in your gym, which if your gym is like no other martial arts gym, this is not a strip mall. I mean, I think the other two are
more aligned with that, but
you're in
our
a 10,000 square foot space. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's 2 huge gyms, free weights, and your yoga studio, right? I mean, it's a very nice place. And
it's essentially, if I can brag a little, it's essentially 4 studios in one. So we have a full yoga studio. We've got 2 separate martial arts studios that are I think 3,000 and 4,000 square feet each. So they're pretty big. And then we have another studio for the weights and the fitness and the kettlebells and the weightlifting and all of that stuff. So it's kind of a big deal as far as martial arts schools go.
And I really enjoyed, I went up there and got some personal training with you, which was fantastic. It kicked my ass. But it was like nonstop, getting there early in the morning. You were already there working out. And people were coming in and out of there all day long, and the classes and the kids and the parents can sit up top and watch what's going on. And just the junior instructors, the junior coaches, the kids that were, assistant, what do you call them?
Junior instructors.
Junior instructors. And it was just really cool. And then watching you, and then you letting me get in on your class, and then just watching how you were, being your friend. It's one kind of relationship, but then seeing you transform into master, Som was very cool. And then the way that everybody was about that, it was really cool. Although I didn't really appreciate getting put in the judo gi thing that was like very heavy and hot. But hey, I get it. I get it.
Part of
Put
it.
corn dog in the judo outfit. That's fine.
That's
it. But I had a blast. But we came out of there, and you gave me a great workout program that I kept up with for a while. But it didn't have that connectivity that we can do now, that you're doing now. And so I think that I definitely, as I said, I'd like to get involved, like get it in your program again. And I think other people need to get on your program, because before it was like, well, I'd always said, well, if I was in Pennsylvania, that's where I would be. That's where I would be training with you.
Yeah, and that was for both of us. That was always just a mental block. How are we going to do this? But that's the amazing thing with constraints, with restriction. When you're forced into such a narrow hallway, narrow band, then you have to come up with better solutions, and that's where we're all at right now.
Yeah,
you have to get creative.
It's funny too, just on, and I'm going to just pivot on this conversation, because we started talking about it a little bit, about the rules of how things were. One of the rules was that, and I think you and I talked about this, but I've certainly talked about it with other people, is that you could get restaurants to, deliver their food and carry out or whatever, but you could not get beers or wine or alcohol from them.
Right.
You go there. Now you can.
Right. You can get takeout drinks.
Now think about that. Think about that and how much better that is for the world. Now, not necessarily for the DUI lawyers, sorry guys, but for people not drinking and driving. If you can just have your stuff delivered, and that is a benefit. So even though, it's crappy. Yes, no one likes to be like, you have to stay at home. Nobody's particularly enjoying social distancing, and I know that you would much rather be at your gym and running your gym.
Yeah.
But there are some good things that have come as a result of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, like I had a hard moment last night. So I went to the gym. It's raining. It's been kind of cold. So I went to the gym just to check up on things. You know, the roof, the heaters, the water, you know, all that typical joys of owning a building. And, you know, normally Thursday nights at the gym are jamming. There, you know, there's who knows how many people. The parking lot is full. The rock and roll or rap or whatever music is blasting. People are throwing around weights. They're kicking bags. They're choking each other out. There's, you know, yoga's going on. It's crazy. And I'm there and it's like 8 something at night when it's like normally at peak on a Thursday night, and it was empty. It was dark and it's quiet. And you just have that moment like, what are we doing?
Right.
What's happening? What lies ahead? But just like you're saying, we have to pivot. You have to see that out of all of this, there's always gonna be something better out of it. But we have to be willing to keep our head up and keep our eyes open and be open-minded and be flexible and be adaptive and accept the things that are presented, because it's not always going to go our way.
That's the only choice.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to just, well, some people do, but that's not what we're going to do. And that's not what anybody that listens to this should be doing. It's just lay down and suck their thumbs and cry and, you know, hope it's going to go away. It will, but you're right. It'll be different. And I, you know, when I go out to the store or whatever, I'll drive around and I'll look at stuff and I'll be like, just like you said, I mean, like this parking lot used to be packed and this was happening. It's just kind of like surreal, like a ghost town. But we're going to be out of this, and let's just, you know, we want to stay safe. We want everybody to stay safe. Please do not inject any cleaners into your system or bleach. I had to get that in.
Yeah. How about this? Listen to the doctors, not the politicians.
Yes. Listen to the doctors. Yeah. And let's wait this thing out together.
Yeah.
And we're all in it together. That's the thing.
We are.
Everybody would love to go out and go to the beach and do all that stuff, but not at the risk of hurting or killing other people. And that's what this thing is doing, like it or not. So
yeah.
But you keep doing what you're doing. So is that how, if people want to get involved in your program like I do we just go to your website, dragongym.com, or what do we do?
Yeah, website is the best thing to do. Visit the website. There are there's a lot of stuff there. So if you already know that this is something that you want for yourself or for your kids, go ahead and just opt in right away, and we'll get in touch with you by email and some other channels, and show you how to get started, whether it's local or virtual. Like I said, if you may already know that this is something you want for yourself or your kids, especially with the kids being locked down all the time. You know, this idea of giving them something to do. But if you need to find out more about our programs and get to know us a little bit better too, there is a trove of content and information. Just look at the blog, look at the program pages. You could spend, you know, months reading through all the stuff there. So, you know, visit our website. If you know you're ready to go, fill in one of the contact forms. If you're not ready yet, read what we have to offer, watch the videos, get to know us, and then reach out.
I'm ready, Master Som. I'm ready, brother. Well, okay, everybody. So that's the deal. Like, if you want to become And it's way more than just becoming a badass. You will become that, but it's about the discipline. It's about the training. It's about the culture. It's about the community. And that's exactly what you've built there, Dragon Gym. And, you know, you and Lonnie's a great guy. The partnership that you've formed, and you could just see it in everybody that's there. And so great job on your pivot. Som, always great to see you and talk to you. Anything else you want to say to the people?
No, that's it. Thanks for having me on, and I too would like to be a recurring guest.
You will. You will. Like,
So I'll end with, you know, since you just a little story, I guess. It's kind of funny. You'll appreciate. So when I used to introduce myself, you know, my full name is Somnath, but I say, hey, just call me Som for short. And people are like, what? So I'm like, it's Tom, but with an S. And you'd think most people would get it. And then they're like, Tom's? That doesn't make any sense. So anyway.
Tom and Som.
Yeah.
The Tom and Som Show. You can do that.
That's it.
All right, buddy. All right, everybody. This has been Tom Foster and Somnath Sikdar, Master Som, my good buddy, the man at Dragon Gym. Go there and learn from the master himself and from all of his instructors on how to become one with the universe. This has been Tom Foster and my buddy Som. The world of marketing. You go out there and kill it and pivot if you need to. Great to see you. Great to talk to you. Som, I will talk to you soon, my friend. Thanks, everybody.